You have been placed in a work team by your boss. You're 4 people on the team. You have an objective. You are excited. You are especially excited because you have a brilliant idea. You know exactly what to do to make this work. Now, I'd like to invite you to consider 2 profiles. One profile is your brilliant idea is so great that you want to be the leader of this team because you know how to make this work. Now, the second profile is this one over here. And this is where you want to present this group, your group, this brilliant idea, but you don't need to be the leader. You just want to have a terrific team experience. Now, what I'd like to invite you, I'd like to ask for a volunteer who can just, you don't need to talk, just represent on stage this style. Could I have a volunteer, please? Yes, can I have your name? Raylene, can we please welcome, thank you, come up right here. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to present to you Stephen Harper and Thomas Mulcair and Justin Trudeau. Let me explain to you why. Steve is the taskmaster. He likes to drive the bus. If he doesn't like what you're doing, he throws you under the bus. Steve likes to be in control. Justin, the man of service. I want everyone, even the smallest person, to have their voice heard. This is important to you, Justin.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. The team is the most important thing. Relationships matter. Thomas, the give a little, get a little guy. He will look at both and he'll say, yeah, this one's important, that one's not important, yeah, okay. And he is that kind of a guy.
I don't throw anybody under the bus.
He doesn't throw anybody under the bus. He has just informed us. That's your job. You put your arms down so you don't tire. Let's go to an alternative universe for a split second and just ask ourselves what would happen if these 3 people were not in competition but working on the same team. What would they have to do to work together after all of this conflict we've had? Steve, I'm going to tell you what you got to do. You have to apologize and admit you were wrong. You have to stop driving the bus all the time and share the keys with someone else from time to time. Good luck with that. Justin, do you know what bullies do when you lay down? They kick you again. You need to stand up. You need to say, you can't just ignore what he said and say, well, that's not as important as how people feel. What's really important is that you have to get along with him, because if ever there's a decision that needs to be made really fast, he'll do it.
I'm ready for it.
He's ready for it. This is not a campaign notice. Tommy, my dear, sometimes you make compromises, but to the point where you don't ask the other folks what they think. And so you say, that part of relationship building is important, and that part of the task is important, but you forget that actually you need to talk to them too. So now that the election is over and you're all working together, you're going to have to actually all figure out what is your common ground and start listening instead of telling each other what to do. So good luck on that, and this was not a campaign notice. Thank you. Can we just, a little bit of appreciation for I wanted to share with you why learning about personalities and conflict became important to me. In the early 1990s, one of the first jobs that I had was as a crisis interventionist in a women's shelter, and I was extremely grateful not to have to worry that my husband would hit me. But when you start doing this type of work, you find out a lot about different things, and you have to do a lot of self-analysis. And this is when I realized that I was at this end of the spectrum, very interested in relationships. And at that end lived my father, Stephen Harper. And I became afraid. I developed anxiety and all kinds of health problems, and I had the ulcers to prove it. What ended up happening is instead of being able to even compromise very well or be in relationship with someone, because when you're like that, when you're fearful, you don't even give people the data they need to be in relationship with you. And when you're that fearful, you don't worry about what's going on, you just stay away from the fight. That's what really happens. So I went into avoidance. I was the little turtle. And you don't move far ahead if you don't stick your neck out from time to time. So I had to learn to stick my neck out and start having a voice. And that was not an easy thing for me to do. So I started teaching my clients how to stand up for their rights so they can start to feel good about where they were. And now what I'd like to do is I'd like to invite you to think about the people in your life. And think about that one person that you're often in conflict with. You know, that person might be your mother-in-law, might be a teenager, it might be a boss. And when you think about this person, ask yourself, is this person more worried about the task, about what needs to get done, than he or she is about the relationship that you need to maintain? What are we willing to leave on the table to have this need satisfied? When we prioritize one or the other, nobody really gets what everybody needs. When we learn to do that, and when you learn to listen, when we all learn to listen to each other and speak and talk with each other as opposed to at each other, we can go from conflict to collaboration. And if you decide to have that conversation with someone, you know that person that's driving you crazy, and you make that attempt, and it doesn't work, that's okay, because I promise you, they will give you another opportunity.